So actually, I forgot a question that actually isn't so future. It actually is more current. So then I'll ask the other future question, which is it's actually about the role of community or Web 2.0 like applications as it relates to kind of the user experience. So how important is it in your mind to engage the audience, to have on the site? Is it more noise? Is it a buzzword? Do you think it's a significant part of what the experience has to be? What are your feelings about it? Patrick?
Michael said it as well in his comments about Hulu. I think Hulu is an elegant, clean, engaging environment, but if the web's going to be just more about being a more efficient video delivery platform, we're not going to win. It really can't be that. It might be that over time, and we have new devices and we have new televisions, et cetera, but we think a lot about building for a community, engaging a community. We have something called a social viewing room where you can actually watch with friends, all kinds of different things, because we absolutely do believe for web video to be successful as a builder of content for television, it can't just simply be another pipe to push video down. It has to be a platform for engagement, but again, not to use the buzzwords that everyone's talking about, but truly a medium that allows for real community, real engagement, real feedback to come back to us.
Yeah, I mean the internet itself is a social medium, and when you look at just sort of activity on our site, you get massive peaks during when shows are up, and then it dips when the shows are not on. And so for us, community is almost critical in order to provide those gaps, because we almost have to rethink what community is on our sites, because they've been doing it for forever. I mean, we've had message boards and fans responding to shows and what they hate, what they don't like, what they love about it. But what we actually have to do going forward is actually figure out how to program to the community. So, things about community moderators, community managers. It's almost like you have a base of people that are sitting there. They go there to watch a show, to catch up on their shows, or watch more video. But then you guys figure out what are you going to do with them. And so we've had a number of instances where we focus on EVC Family, where we actually create programming experiences that we want the community to do that it sort of helps fill the gap. And you want people to come visit every day to the site to do something different. There may not be a program to watch, right? But you want them to engage with the brand and the properties. And I don't know, I think I'd probably check my Facebook account like 10 times a day. So how do we incorporate that type of behavior into our content?
I mean, there's always
only 10 times?
Yeah, only 10.
There's always been
yeah.
well-known or well-understood communities offline. Like classic examples are Trekkies and Star Wars fanatics, and it's easy to kind of visualize those. And on Veoh, we see tens of thousands of these hyper-passionate enthusiasts, and they're fanatics about stuff. And so the question is, what's their role, right, for brand marketers, who own these programs or whatever, marketers in general, to kind of take advantage of that hyper-dense passion? I don't think any of us is. Have you seen anything interesting that your clients are doing yet? Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, thinking about that, it's an interesting challenge because by nature of the web, there is this community aspect to it, but yet you do need to program to the individual too. A community is thousands of individuals. How do you offer choice to them and not assume this acts like one entity and keep that balance?
Maybe a little bit contrary here. I think community.
Sorry, I cut you off.
That's all right. And now come into the show. I think community also depends on what platform you're on. If you're taking it to a full screen 61-inch HD plasma in a living room, community, and you're on a remote control, community is probably not what the consumer expects to do at that point in time. If you're on a cell phone with a video on it, with an Apple interface or even a remote control, the level of community may be very different. If you're on a PC with a mouse and you've got a community Facebook interface and everything else, then that role. And so I think this medium in many ways, from the programming standpoint, has to adapt to the platform and the environment and what the consumer expects to do while they're viewing. If 98% is watching TV, then it's watching TV. If it's an adjunct to the community, then group watching and viewing parties makes an immense amount of sense.
And it's so, I mean, we did a study, almost 8 years ago, 7 years, where it turned out that our audiences, for the most part, had PCs online in the rooms where they were watching TV. And this is the MTV and Nickelodeon audiences. And they were interacting when they were on separate screens, the whole two-screen thing. So there's the show, and then they're doing IM and they're doing email, and they're talking about that. What's interesting is the combination of the one-to-one platform. You're absolutely right. If you're watching something, sitting on a giant flat screen, yes, you can still interact via your phone, you can interact via your laptop, but it's not necessarily one product. On the other hand, on a PC or on a computer, we've been doing a lot of stuff around communities, both in terms of chat and boards and that sort of thing, but also things like virtual worlds, where we create like the virtual hills or metropolis or places where people can actually go, and there's the world that it is that they watch. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, because you're absolutely right. It's these sort of hyper mini mega. I'm trying to come up with a phrase for this, but I can't.
I get it.
Where's James?
Yeah, coin a new phrase.
Right.
Well, but within that community, there's also those who create, and there's those who actually are engaged, and those who just watch.
Yeah.
Right. And so it depends. Tom, to your point, who are you serving at what particular time? Let me, because people want free drinks.
Yeah.
Let me ask one last question. It's a little one about mobile, which is, I'm curious if the iPhone, which has a lot of UGC consumption, I'm assuming. I've seen a bunch of data from M-Mobile and about how much consumption of YouTube videos are out there. Are you guys, has the iPhone changed your view about the role of video on a mobile media device? And then a follow-on to that, is the coming of Android a wait-and-see thing, or is there something particularly intriguing about it that you guys are working on? So let's go down that.
I think for us, we're always focused on iPhone for obvious reasons. But no, I think for us it's a great device. But right now, I think in terms of video, we're still wait and see on video. I think for us, it's more definitely a platform for community-driven things, the things that we can involve our community around our shows and that sort of thing. It's great. Android, I think for us it's a wait and see. We'll see how far it goes.
Also because you're board members?
No, I just sort of I think it's just sort of whether it's, we always look at it from sort of a subjective viewpoint of whether it's fun and cool, and we haven't evaluated that yet.
Great.
So to our audiences, mobile video is really important, and even prior to the iPhone, we do almost 10 million mobile video streams a month in the U.S. alone across our carrier partners. So in that respect, the iPhone hasn't changed how we view video on mobile devices, because it's always been incredibly important, and we always have been programming it. Now, having said that, there's cool stuff you can do with an iPhone, and so we are optimizing video, working with Transparent, optimizing video for our mobile web and websites to allow you to access all the codebearers that you want. Via the iPhone. It's interesting because we also do a brisk business on iTunes, and so we're sort of finding the balance between people who want to buy it and own it and people who want to stream it. And, down in this room, you wouldn't be able to stream it. So we're doing a lot with that, and we continue to develop for it, games and what have you. Android, we're really excited about. To your point, no one's got an Android phone yet, so it's not like we're all kind of running in. But we have been playing with it a bunch, and I don't doubt that we'll port our applications and sites to it.
We're integrating along with the CE devices to those players. The interesting thing there is on a mobile device, the consumer behavior pattern in the US is probably very, very different than people on trains in Japan.
Right.
So the devices tend to be, in the television world, more clip-based and more engaging regional stuff and sports kinds of programming, not the long-form episodic stuff in the whole. So it tends to be a third screen in that order.
Right.
The longer the format of the content.
Yeah, we think device agnostically, but we definitely, getting back to the point of clips, that's a great environment for clips, whether you're in the sports category or if you're in a Best Buy and you need to look at a review for a Canon SLR camera and you want to look at a CNET review of that product. That's always going to be, again, short form and clip driven. But for us today, platform agnostic, and we really think of the applications that can be built for mobile to be more utility driven, and that's when I think sports and technology kind of reviews and content.
That's great. Yeah, and I just add to that, I think both for iPhone as well as Android, it's just been a prompt for a different conversation with clients and advertisers. A prompt with iPhone more around designing for the device and the importance of design in the user experience and taking full advantage of that. And on Android and really iPhone as well, just the idea of advertising applications and functionality instead of messaging. And certainly widgets has brought a lot of attention to that too, but understanding that creating experiences for advertising, maybe sponsoring or creating more functional aspects versus just messaging one way.
Great. Well, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank the audience for making time. We could go on. I could at least for an hour at least. We've got cocktails upstairs. Hopefully you guys are going to stick around a little bit and people can ask you some questions if you're around. And again, I want to thank you guys for participating. It's terrific.